This is my second hero that I'm doing here at Miami Ad School, and I decided to call this one "Not All Heroes Wear Capes." I don't know why. It has no connection with anything that you're gonna see next, but I thought that it was a cool phrase to put it out here, and it related to heroes. So, about heroes. I'm a former Miami Ad School student, and it's funny because when I was starting to teach class last week, I asked people like, what is the sub that you like the least? And 90% of you guys said heroes, and I'm like, oh, awesome! I'm presenting next week, so awkward, I know, but I did learn a lot from heroes. I will say that I have three specifically ones that really sets important things to me, said relevant information, and that's what I'm gonna try to do today. I have a presentation that I started putting today, so please bear with me as we go through it. And this is just a corgi dressed as a hero crashing into the, what's the name of this one? That the one. Okay, so about myself, I promise it's gonna be quick and easy because you don't want to hear about my life. It might be interesting, it might not be interesting. Yeah, I think that you're here to learn, and that's what I'm gonna try to do for you today. I'm gonna talk about a little bit about myself. One thing to know about me, one cool thing is that I was the last promo to be in the Miami Ad School at Miami Beach. And I was the first promo to be here at the new Wynwood location. I'm obsessed with GIF, so you're gonna see a lot of GIF today in my in my speech. And my account that I work on is Netflix, and you're gonna see a lot of examples of Netflix. For my students, I try to bring one more at least that is a new one from last week, so you don't feel bored. So let's talk about content creation. That's what I do. That's what I started doing at Nobox. I started as a junior content creator, then I became senior content creator, then head of content, then ACD, and now I'm creative director. That in 4 years. Content creation is something that I love doing. I think that it's what's moving the needle right now, and it's really important because that's mostly what the real brands, the good brands, are aiming towards to do now. So in the beginning, they were doing a lot of branded content. Now we are doing more editorial content. And maybe I'll go a little bit deeper in that as we go. But one thing that I always say is that content is king. Why? Because we don't buy products, we buy stories or emotions or sentiments or a dream. That's something that we're selling you. Like, for example, Coca-Cola isn't selling you a Coke that you can drink at home. It's selling you happiness. And through happiness, you will buy Coca-Cola because you think that by buying Coca-Cola, you're buying happiness. And that's basically what we're doing through content. I'm going to show you some examples of work that I have done in the past. This one is my proudest one. This video has over 80 million views. I did it for Netflix. But instead of only showing you the video, I decided to tell you a little bit as well about the inside and the thought process behind it. So for us, we started thinking, and for us, Orange is the New Black is like a telenovela. It's all drama, people are crying all the time, people are fighting, there's villains and everything. But what are they missing? The ultimate telenovela villain, which in Latin America, that's something. Do we have Latin Americans here? Yay, Mexicans? No? Yeah? Awesome, okay. So, Itati Cantoral, she's the baddest telenovela villain of all time. And we said, okay, so if this is what's missing from Orange is the New Black, what if we put her inside of the Orange is the New Black? And there was a very popular meme at the time that it was crying in Spanish. And they started doing all these things with Spanish, like cries in Spanish, sniff in Spanish, gasp in Spanish, and all of the different things. And behind that, we did this video that I'm gonna play for you. With sound, I hope. I ruined the surprise. Okay.
Who the fuck are you? ¿Cómo que no sabes quién soy yo? ¡Yo mando aquí!
Oh my God. Are you my new bunkmate? Used to watch all your telenovelas.
Escucha, escuincla babosa. Déjame que te demuestre mi poder satánico. ¿Qué te ríes?
That was amazing.
No, así no me van a contratar.
Is this real life?
Quita tus cochinas manos de encima mío, pepenadora. ¡Marginal!
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. Can I have your autograph? Oh my God, we should do the maldita lisiada.
Maldita, please. We're gonna do it.
Please.
Maldita lisiada. ¡Te odio! ¡Corte! ¡No! Así no. Pendeja, no. Watch me. ¡Maldita lisiada! ¿Ves? Gracias, gracias.
Look, I got goosies. Can you please slap me? Like, please slap me like you do in the telenovelas, please.
Come say what? Wait. Fuck. I know you. Oh my God, you're so hot. Oh my God, do it. Try in Spanish.
So this video broke the record and is the most viewed marketing piece by Netflix in the entire world. So that speaks volume. It has over 80 million views. We won over 40 awards with this piece, and I'm really proud of it. It was the first of its time. And then something that we're going to be seeing later, and it's the importance of evolving as a brand, then Netflix got stuck in that little thing, and they continue bringing people from other countries into like from past generations into today. And that got boring, and people caught up, and they were like, okay, Netflix, you're doing the same thing. You're bringing this guy from this era, and you're bringing it back here. So because of that, we were forced to, okay, so what do we do next? So by then we were thinking super locally. Now we needed to think globally. And for Bird Box, that I hope you guys watch, it's an awful movie, but it's the most viewed movie in Netflix history. Yep, it's really sad, but that's the truth. Why it became so popular? Because of memes, because of GIF, and because of the Bird Box challenge. Yeah, people are dumb. So we wanted to capitalize over that, and we said like, okay, so if people are doing all these challenges, if all these memes are coming alive, what can we do that lives inside of our brand, which is Netflix, and what is our brand truth? And the brand truth that we wanted to attack is that monster that people are covering their eyes in the world of Netflix, that will be the spoilers. People will be covering their eyes, they will cover their ears to avoid spoilers. And that's how Spoiler Box was born. So let's look at it.
Asesino de élite, es Pablo.
Escuchen, solo lo voy a decir una vez. Vamos a hacer un viaje. Va a ser un viaje largo y difícil. Necesito, por favor, que se pongan los audífonos y no quiten la mirada de Netflix. No pueden hablar de ninguna serie que yo no haya visto. Especialmente Stranger Things. ¿Entendido?
Sí, mamá.
Niña, ¿tú tienes Trolls? Niño, ¿tú tienes Club de Cuervos?
Ah, pero ya la vi.
Pero es
¿Qué pasa?
que no me pusiste Trolls, me pusiste Stranger Things.
Estamos en vivo y directo desde Bogotá y nos han llegado reportes de muchas partes de una ola de spoilers que está azotando a toda Latinoamérica.
Pues yo estaba en el Transmilenio y de la nada se subió un gamín gritando plata, plomo o spoiler y empezó a gritar el final de La Maldición de Hill House. Y antes de poder escuchar, mi mamá me tapó los oídos, pero ella se escuchó. ¡Ella se escuchó!
Argentina, Perú, Chile, Latinoamérica entera está colapsada. Por favor, no vean sus celulares y que Dios nos agarre confesados.
Bueno, ¿que se muere quién en Narcos México?
¡No! ¡Tú no, cabrón! ¡Tú no!
Sabrina firma el libro.
El de Bogorgon, ya no puede caminar. Porque leve, no le va a otro lugar. El de Bogorgon.
Chava se lanza, gobernador.
¿Estás ahí, mi vida? ¿Me oyes? ¿Me escuchas?
El asesino de la capucha negra en Riverdale.
¡Hijo! ¡Perdimos a tu papá! ¡Está diciendo spoiler!
Tranquila, ma. Oye. Tranquila. ¿Qué pasó, pa?
El asesino de la capucha negra de Riverdale es el papá de Betty.
Sí, ya sabía, la había visto 1000 veces.
¿Tú sabías que Mikkel es el papá de Jonas en Dark?
Oh, que sí. En cambio, ¿tú sabías que en la Casa de Papel Berlín se muere al final?
So that's spoiler box. This video went really well, and something that I do want to share with you guys: the algorithm of Facebook has changed so that drastically that 5 million view in a video nowadays is called success. Back then in 2014, that was okay. It was doing okay. So the algorithm is playing a lot. What we do with these concepts is something that Netflix call earn before you buy. Why? Because they're spending, this costs $80,000, and then what they got returned in media investment, because the media were picked up and media were putting articles about the video, they got over $2 million worth of investment in there. So that's called earn before you buy, okay? So the next one and the last one that I'm gonna show you before I teach, it's gonna be Bella Ciao. I don't know if you guys have seen Money Heist, La Casa de Papel. Has anyone seen it? Yeah? Okay, there's a song there that is called Bella Ciao, and people are obsessed with that song. For a lot of time, that song became like the anthem of the series. People sing it at weddings, people sing it at happy birthdays, at a soccer match, everywhere. So we said, okay, people are obsessed with Bella Ciao, and the third season of La Casa de Papel was coming back, and we said, what can we do with that? Well, we drive ourselves crazy, and we did an 8-hour live of singing Bella Ciao in everywhere possible. Of course, I'm not gonna play 8 hours right now, but I will show you a little bit. This is an 8-hour long video with band plays. We have this guy. He did it with his armpits. We have drag queens.
Ahí estaba Mindy Fire, una
We have mariachis. We have jazz. We have a guy playing with a bottle. We have people from Instagram. We have these guys that it was like a march band. We had gospel. We have a bailoterapia, like a Zumba class. So for 8 hours straight, we continue doing a lot of different things in this live. People on YouTube, of course, people hated it because YouTube is full of haters and nothing that you do there is gonna fly. They started putting F. I don't know if you have ever seen the F on YouTube. That means that you suck. So they started putting a lot of F in the video. But on Facebook, which is more mature, more for your aunt, for your mom, they like it a little bit more. But it was fun. The media picked it up. A lot of people say like Netflix went crazy. They're doing an 8-hour live towards the release of the new season. So for today, we're gonna talk about 3 things. We're gonna talk about fragmentation of self, the importance of ever-evolving strategy, and from global to hyper-local. So first of all, do I have Gen Z people under 23 or less here in the room? Please raise your hand. Please don't take what I'm gonna say personally. But Gen Z is the new market that we all have to work with, and it's really difficult because you guys are very peculiar. So Gen Z, yeah, those little fuckers, are very annoying, and as you start working in advertising, you're gonna find out how annoying they are because they are very vocal and they can make a brand, but they can also break it, and they can love you, and the next second they'll hate you, then 10 minutes later they love you again, and it's gonna be very complicated to work with. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more about them and how do we attack them, okay? So first, going into this, we know that Gen Z versus any other generation, even millennials who we thought that we were the shit, now Gen Z is the shit. They really do take care of action. They really do take things in their hands. For us, for millennials, we were like, oh, we might change the world. Might. Very far away. Someone else, please do it for me. But the Gen Z is the contrary. The Gen Z are, I'm going to change the world. The world is going to change because I need to protect it, because I need to take an action. And that's very interesting, because as a brand, you can use that in your advantage to make them be vocal about your brand, and you can generate a very nice interaction with them. But if you make one single wrong turn, they will burn you alive, and that's going to be covered by every media available, okay? So the Gen Z is the one who are molding culture and innovation to create a world that fits their image. So they don't want you to sell the image that you think that they want. They want you to sell you the things that they need in order to become who they want to be. And that's very important as a brand, something to evaluate. So again, they are between 9 and 23 years old. They demand accountability for transparency. So you see people think, like for example, I have a very annoying Gen Z copywriter, and he's like, no, I don't buy those shoes because those shoes are done by little kids. And I'm like, how do you know that? But yeah, they do take the time. They do the research, and they find out if you're buying stuff, if you're producing your stuff with wrong things. they will call you for it. Okay. So they use up to 5 screens at a time. Yes, they're on the TV, they're on their phone, they're using all the media platforms in the world, and something that we're going to be learning later, what's the fragmentation of self. The other thing is that they have like a split personality. It's not that they're ill, it's just that because of you living so many different platforms, you're gonna be someone different in each one of them. So on Instagram, you're someone, and you probably have seen a lot of memes about this. On LinkedIn, you're someone else. On Facebook, you're someone else. On TikTok, you're someone else. And that's something that they have that no other generation had. Why? Because they are the first mobile first generation, and that's why they have that possibility of breaking themselves in so many aspects. And they rarely make an uninformed decision. Again, so they're gonna look into your brand, and if you don't have equality, if you don't have a woman empowerment and all this stuff, they will simply not buy you, and they most probably, even you guys, won't even like to work for an agency or for a brand that doesn't have these values. And that's how important this generation is. Why? Because they represent 40% they will represent it by 2020, 40% of the American consumers. I don't know if anyone have seen Dragon Ball, but I put little Gohan here because he was so cute when he was little, but then he grew up and he turned into a bitch and he started killing everyone. So basically that's what Gen Z are doing. They were so cute when they were little, right now they are outflow blood. So they're expecting now brands to commit to a cause. So if there's something happening and you as a brand don't speak about that, or at least you're not speaking about something, you need to make a stand. They expect that from you. And it's really interesting because you see, like for example, the other day we were discussing in class, the case of Gillette, when they did this stunt of the chauvinist culture and all of this stuff, and people were calling them out. Why? Because they have never made a stance before, and now they feel they look funny. So it's tricky. You need to make a stand, but if you don't make it right, They will say that you're a fake and that you're just doing it for the sake of the like or for the sake of people liking your brand. So we're gonna go a little bit down the rabbit hole of who the Gen Zs are. So before, we always talk about the umbrella campaign, and it's like, yeah, we have an umbrella campaign. Why? Because one shoe fits all. So I can put an idea and it will perfectly go into the different segments of my audience. Now we have a beautiful cloud called Generation Z on top of our umbrella, and now an umbrella doesn't work anymore because they're not represented by one thing. There are many things. So now you have all these different things, which is the fragmentation of self. And the fragmentation of self precisely goes about that. It goes that now as a Gen Z, you're broken into different parts. You're like Harry Potter, Voldemort with the Horcruxes. Like you divide yourself in so many things, so in order to kill you, they have to kill all of the little pieces. Well, it kind of works like that. You're now broken down into different pieces. And I can sell you something on Instagram, but if I want to sell you the same thing on Facebook, I have to attack you in a very different way. And if you're a Gen Z and you're on Facebook, it's weird, but things happen. So what are the main drivers for the Gen Z? They like the dissociative identity. They like more chances of happiness if you are part of the different groups. So they belong to a lot of different groups. Before, you always see people sitting like in the same group. Now people belong into many different groups. They like to talk to different people. They like to make friends. So the effects is the ability to express and explore every aspect of your personality is going to become harder, and it's going to become harder as a brand for you to talk about these things. So we have the supporting trends that are in the Gen Z and this is going to be the global citizens, the beyond labels, generation activism, and the alternate planes. So the global citizens. The global citizens is something that you all by now, people do feel that they are part of the world. Like you don't feel that, oh, I'm just from the United States. Oh no, I'm just from Argentina. I'm just from China. Like you feel that you're part of the world. And whatever is happening in any part of the world, it affects you. It's going to affect your future. So if in the Amazonia it's burning, you're going to care about that. Even though you are far away in New York, you do care about that because that's going to affect your life. That's going to affect your future. And it's important to understand that, again, that's what they want. They want something that's going to change their life, and they do take care and they do listen to all the different pinpoints that might affect them. So what are global citizens? The global citizen gets outraged by social injustice. That's why the Me Too movement happened. That's why all these different things are happening right now, and that's why it's so hard to be a bad person nowadays, because you're going to be called out and they're going to point you with a finger. Respect and values diversity, take responsibility for their actions, participates in community at range of levels, understands how the world works, and acts to make the world more equal and sustainable. So, of course, you know who Malala is, Amir and Adam. These are guys, you can look them up. They are like who the Gen Z, and maybe you say, well, I'm not that extremist as any of these guys, but they do represent something that the Gen Zs see, and they say, that's how I should behave, that's how a brand should behave, and those are the values that you as a brand should have. So something interesting, which is the turning into the needs of the global citizens. Again, they do care about the operations and the manufacturing consciousness. Again, I have this guy that he only buys one type of shoe because that's the only one that he approves the way that it's done. So you have culturally accepting. The brands need to produce meaningful content, keeping consumers informed, and that's why it's so important. The editorial content, because the editorial content versus the branded content, which is the one that we have been seeing before in my examples, the editorial content is meant to teach you something. And it's not necessarily have to be something, oh, I'm going to teach you how to be a better human being. No, It can be as simple as something like this guy that is amazing that he looks at movies and he analyzes it from an architectural perspective, and he tells you like all the architectural aspects of this. So more and more people are turning into editorial content, and brands need to evolve and start doing more and more editorial content. That's why you see GQ, Vogue with the 73 questions. All of the things are editorial, and that's what people are consuming because they want to know more about their brand. They want to know more about the artist, and that's why that's the type of content that is nowadays ruling the world. So the alternate planes, this is something that we were speaking before, is that you live like in all these different dimensions, and that's why it's so important, what's so interesting about the Gen Z. So for example, you can be someone when you're on social media, and there's a lot of range of social medias that you guys all know, but also in gaming. Like you will think that for millennials or for baby boomers, even worse, being a gamer was something that was like frowned upon. But for the Gen Z, this is something that they live now, and they have like personas. They are popular. They are becoming someone in these platforms, and that's why it's interesting for us as brands to understand how can we capitalize on those things. How can we innovate the way that we communicate our brand and our message through those channels. So the drivers is that people all have different reasons for escape. What connects them is the problem. The environment is chaotic and it seems out of their control. Connectivity, you have access to more than just those in your immediate surroundings, and you have more of a choice in a lifestyle how you want to live your life. And the effects is that in the positive side, you see that you have an enhanced connectivity. People are now more connected in between them and in between brands. Like nowadays, you can actually talk with a brand through CM, through community management. And that's something that is going to be very crucial for you as a brand and for you as you put a content strategy into work. It's going to be your community management. Because you need to develop a voice that they're going to say, oh, this brand is fucking cool. I want to have a conversation with them. And this is something that is going to be tricky because you don't want to look like this 50-year-old guy who's trying to pose for a 20-year-old Gen Z. But also, it's tricky because as a brand, you want to say some things and you want to avoid certain subjects, and they're going to call you out on that. So it's like a very blurred line that you're going to have to navigate. Also, something else positive is the ability to turn to online community for help or for problems. Not to look like, oh, I have a headache. Oh, you have cancer. No, not that type of questions. People are becoming more and more responsive into helping other people. So the negative is the illusion of control. Kids think that they have control of their life, that they can actually change the planet. And yes, you can, but it's not as easy. So it's something that we have to play with. And something else is the difficulty of existing in the real world when you have curated when you have curated yourself online. So on the real world, you might, and this is something funny with influencers. Online, they look amazing, but when you see them in person, they might be sad, they might have no friends, or they maybe are more crazy than what they seem. And that's the problem sometimes when you work with influencers and they look good, but then they go and post a video of torturing someone or bullying someone, and then your brand is fucked because you associated with them. So how do alternate planes affect brands? Well, it has a greater emphasis in the consistency communication through the authenticity, and it has a unique platform. Specific content is needed for each platform. So again, I can't post the same video that I prepare for Facebook on YouTube or on Instagram. It all needs to be different. Why? Because people of different ages live in each of the platforms. So if you're expecting to attack Gen Z through Facebook, you're not gonna find them there. You can find them in Instagram or TikTok, but you're not gonna find them there. So it's very important to understand where your audience, the audience that you're trying to target, in this case, because we're talking Gen Z, where do they live. So they are an empowered youth. And what does this trend means for brands? When brands speak to one, brands can no longer speak to one, they have to speak to all. So if I'm speaking to you, then by consequence, I'm speaking to all of you. So whatever I tell one person is going to affect all of the rest. And if I mess it up with someone, then all of the rest are going to feel bad about the brand because I mess with someone. So it's very tricky. No place to hide. Transparency is key. Like they will find everything. Like if you fail at something, if when you were a kid you used to bully a guy in school, they will find out and they will call you out. Everything you do is in real time. Prepare to respond as fast as you are spoken to. So that again, that's the community management, and that's something very important. That as upcoming creatives, something that you should nail is how to develop a voice and a tone for your brand and for your content. And groups will form either for or against you. And they are extremely quickly. Like I said in the beginning, they can make a brand in 1 second and they can break you down in the next. So it's very tricky. And to summarize, they're going to represent the 40% of the next market. So I'm going to jump a little bit over this. So beyond levels, people nowadays, it's funny because we say that we don't like labels, but nowadays it's something where it's happening where we do wanna have labels, but very specific labels of who we are. I'm gay, and people nowadays are saying like I'm non-binary, this, and it's so difficult to keep track about who you are or who do you feel like that for people that's becoming tricky to follow up. But what happens is that what I think that is going to happen in the future is that we're gonna again erase all of those labels and we're just going to be humans again. But right now, because of the president we have, I'm sorry if you don't agree with me on this, because of the moment that we are living as human race, it's so crucial for us to defend ourselves and for us to say, this is what I am, and I want you to respect, and I want you to acknowledge that. And that's why it's so tricky. So, do you have any questions so far? No? You should target your specific audience. You need to find who do you want to talk to, because there's nothing worse like to screaming out in the wind and expecting someone to get it. So it's very important for you to say, okay, and if the client is not telling you who is the specific target, you need to find it for them. You need to tell them, hey dude, the people who are going to be interested in your brand and in your message are going to be this age group. So now let's find how do we talk to that group, where do they live, and how do we tackle them with content that they do like. Okay?
Or was the client actually also asking you like, I want some cool stuff, I want this and that? So how do you kind of shift the client's perspective from like, you need to trust me, I'm the agency, I'm the brains, just let me do it?
Yeah, that's really tricky, and that's the work that we have to do, and that's why research and strategy is so important. And it doesn't have to be like a very strict strategy. I believe in creative strategies, and the way, at least for Netflix, because they are very creative, they don't need as much explanation that any other client will have. So if you sell them a good creative strategy, they will buy it. But you need to tell them that. You need to tell them, hey, this is your audience, this is where they live, this is the message that they like, and then you start making all those connections. So because they live here, they like this, they talk about this all adds up to this. And if you make those clear marks, and you need to make them in order to convince them, they will dare you. And they will tell you, okay, I like the idea, but And it's really important, and this is my experience with Netflix, is that they have so much information about what their users like, that after they approve an idea, they say, I like this idea, but let's do this, 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 and this. And they give you more points in order for that idea to come better across.
My question was about one of the graphics that you showed, and specific to the buying power for Generation Z, C, whichever you want to call it.
Can you speak more loudly? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I wasn't sure if it was working or not. But basically, pointing back to the graphic that you showed earlier in the beginning, pointing to the importance of Generation Z or Z, whichever one you want to call it. So the buying power for them is 40% of something I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, the consumers by 2020.
By 2020, and so what does that actually mean? How does that happen? Does that mean that that generation is just more capable of spending power, or what does that really mean?
What means is that the older generations are gonna stop spending that much money, and they are gonna become the power. Why? Because they're working, because they are being attacked by your advertising. Like it's very difficult to attack a 70-year-old guys now. Attack sounds very bad. To target a 70-year-old guy nowadays. But what this means is that right now they are kids, and right now their choices are being made by their parents. So if they want something, they need to ask their parent, like, hey, Dad, can you buy me this? But by 2020, they will buy them themselves. And you need, as a brand, like if you are an existing brand, evolve with them. So by when they have that power, you are already like first in their mind, and they have a connection with you as a brand. Cool. Okay, so next, the importance of an ever-evolving strategy. And I promise it's not going to be much long. Sorry, guys. I got carried away. So by 1998, Victoria's Secret launched their amazing, groundbreaking fashion shows. And yes, they were groundbreaking by then. People loved them. And it had a pretty strict formula. Really, really, really hot girls, bikinis, and a musician. And that musician will change every year. So what happened? By 2000, this is Adriana Lima, a Brazilian supermodel. She was the model in 2000. 2010, same person, same outfit. 2018, same person, same outfit. So nothing changed. So they didn't evolve with the brand. They stayed in their safe place. And yeah, in here you will have like the Spice Girls. In here you will have Taylor Swift, but that's it. Like it's the same formula. The same thing keeps repeating. And people, what? They got bored. And that's why this year, Rihanna, she changed the industry with the Fenty Beauty fashion show. So if you see Victoria's Secret, they're gonna have their last show ever this year. Why? Because they weren't able to evolve. And with a generation as important and with a generation as vocal as the Gen Z, they didn't evolve and they died. And people no longer want to buy in Victoria's Secret. People no longer want to watch those shows because they don't feel represented, because they don't speak to them. Now you have the Fenty Beauty show that have thick women, who have women of all colors, of all religion, people even wearing burqas at the fashion show, and that's Gen Z. This is where they feel they're represented. Even Rihanna herself, she wasn't at what people consider her fittest when she did this show, and this show blew out, and her stocks are even bigger than Victoria's Secret. And that's why it's so important to evolve as a brand. That's why it's so important to evolve even more now that Gen Z are on the rise. Because if you don't do, you will die like Victoria's Secret. You need to evolve and you need to become something that really represents them. And with a show that has over 40 people, why don't represent everyone? No, they kept, they said, people say like, hey, all the models of Victoria's Secret are super, super skinny. We need more representation of plus-size women. This is their answer to plus-size woman. Let's put a plus-size woman, and yes, for them, this is a plus-size model. So people really hated that, especially Gen Z. They're like, this is not a plus-size woman. This is someone who's perfect. And you're bashing her and you're selling her as a plus-size woman. We're not feeling represented. That's not the person who I am, and I'm not going to be like her, or I'm not going to be like Adriana Lima. I'm myself, and I want to be whoever the fuck I want. And that's why it's so important for you as a brand to evolve, and for you and your content to evolve with the market and with your generation. So then we have Blockbuster. And in this case, I wanted to talk about Netflix, which is my brand. And in Blockbuster, it's really funny how this happened. Blockbuster didn't evolve. They were even pitched the Netflix structure, and they say no. And what's even funnier is that this guy here, Reed Hastings, who is the guy who invented Netflix, he invented Netflix because they wanted to charge him $80 when he was returning a movie. And he was so fucking afraid of telling his wife that he was paying $80 to return a movie that he said, there's gotta be a better way. And he started this delivery service of DVDs that you subscribe and they will get mailed to your house and that you can keep for as long as you want. And that's how Netflix got invented, and that's how Blockbuster died. So again, it's important to change with the trends. It's important even more nowadays, and I'm gonna repeat this again, because of Gen Z. So this is my channel that I manage, is Netflix Latin America. It started with 0 followers 4 years ago. Right now we have 7.2 million followers. And even the strategy of the channel evolves every day. By the beginning of the year, we were doing a lot of illustrations. We were doing a lot of these posts, and we kept evolving month by month. We analyzed what is working, what is not. And we understood that the people that we wanted to attack are the YA, which is the young adults, which is equally the Gen Z, with a little of millennials. And that's the people who live on Instagram nowadays. So we needed to cater to them. So we know who are the artists, who are the faces that they like, what are the things that they want to leave. And right now the channel is at its best. We have a 500% increasing in followers in this year so far. We started the year with 3 million followers, and right now we're at 7.2. So by the end of the year, we expect to be at 9 million followers. And that's why it's so important for you as a brand and for you as a content channel, not only as a brand, but also the content that you produce, to evolve, to keep learning, and to have that study of what failed and how should I move next. So this is just to close. The ideas that we see in the beginning, like the Itati one, they were more local. They were a very local idea. But then you have the Burbox idea, which is something that same idea, you can grab it and you can do it in Canada, you can do it in Argentina, you can do it anywhere else in the world, and it's gonna work. Why? Because it's global, it's meant for the masses. And your ideas need to be like that, need to be global, and then you find the ways how to hyper-localize them. And the ways that you hyper-localize them is with the script, with the actors that you're gonna use, with how you sell it. But the idea needs to be global, it needs to be something that anyone can say, oh, I can apply that in my market. So just some things to close out. Just keep moving forward, that's my favorite motto. It comes from a Disney movie, The Robinsons. And I think that in life we do get thrown a lot of curves, and we do want to stop ourselves, and we think that we can keep going, but just keep moving forward. It's gonna get better, and you're gonna get better, and you're gonna get higher, and you're gonna be awesome. Ideas versus strategy. This is something that I discuss with my class, and it's that people are always like, what is more important, the ideas or the strategy? I will say both. I will say that if you have a good strategy, then you will have great ideas. But if the idea is better, as a strategist, I will recommend bend them and make it work for the idea. Because if the idea is great, there's many ways that you can tweak the data. There's many ways that you can tweak that strategy so that idea can live and you can sell it. Blow the fucking door. When I was growing up, when I graduated from high school, this guy told me at my graduation, he was doing the speech for my graduation, and he told me, Angel, your dreams need to fit in the door, by the door. And I'm like, then let's fucking blow the door and make your dreams happen, whatever the fuck you want. If they don't fit, blow it. Then work on the field you're passionate about. You need to find what are you passionate about. And nowadays, we love to label ourselves as copywriters or art directors. I believe that we are nowadays in the world of content creation, and we are all content creators. You can be a photographer and you can be a content creator. You can be a strategist, you can be a content creator. Anyone can be a content creator, you just need to tell a good story. Last, small agencies versus big agencies. I do encourage you guys to try small agencies. I started at Nobox and I have traveled all around the world. I have met people, made famous people go to locations that I have never even dreamt of going, and it's because I went for a small agency. I know that it's beautiful, and you think that us as people who hire students, we're gonna look, oh, they work at Y&R. Yeah, that speaks volumes to me. For me, and I'm just saying this personally, it doesn't speak volumes. For me, what speaks volumes is your work. If your work that you have in your portfolio resembles what I do in my agency, I will hire you, I will get you into an interview, and that interview is gonna decide your future. But don't focus on getting the big names, focus on getting good fucking work. And the sad thing is that in the big agencies, you're gonna be put into a room and be like, yeah, work. If you need help, just let us know. In a small agency, you are needed. We need you. We need all hands on deck. So you're gonna work, and your work is gonna go out into a world. That's it.